Greetings, sir. I am the leader of the group, Kerwin Caballes, and my student number is 2101068. We are here to present our group project and client-side scripting finals. So here is our members.
Good day, Sir Janus. My name is Raziel T from 2ITB. My student number is 2100319.
Greetings, sir. My name is Adrian James P. Boncales, student number 1902254.
Greetings, sir. My name is Angelo Cancisio and my student number is 1902276.
Greetings, Sir Janus. My name is Kathleen and my student number is 2102110.
My name is Alastair O Ferrer and my student ID number is 1902730.
Greetings. My name is Jalapit Joel Jr. and my student number is 2102047.
Greetings everyone. I am Alleina Princess Di Malabana. I am student 1902656.
Greetings, sir. My name is Kelsey Potot from ICB and my student number is 2101859.
Good morning, Sir Janus. I am Zyrel E Trinidad from 2ITB. My student number is 2101886.
Greetings, Sir Janus. My name is Kathleen and I will explain the index.html. In index.html, we notice the import of script jQuery as well as login.js and the title login form. The body element has the onload attribute local storage for the div element content class container, and within that, we have another div element class name form group that is labeled as for username and another div element class for password, as well as a button type for the button login. There is also a script tag for load local storage.js. For the login.js from login.html, in this code, it gets the username and password input fields from the HTML using the ID of text username and text password and stores them in the variables text username and text password. It selects the form element and the login button relying on their IDs form and button login and stores them in a variable constant form and button login. And when the button is clicked for the button login.click action listener, the specified callback function is called. Inside the function, the data provided in the username and password input fields, text username.val and text password.val, are retrieved and stored in the variables constant, username, and password. It also creates a new date to get the current date and stores it in the variable constant d. In order to validate the user input, if either the username or password is empty or simply includes white space characters, an alert with the message "fill up the fields" will be displayed. Else, if the username or password is not admin or admin123, an alert with the message "invalid input" is shown. Else, if both the username and password match the values admin and admin123, the next code block is executed. It retrieves the log text from local storage using the key log text and appends a log message stating that the admin has successfully logged in at the current date and time. The log text in local storage is then updated with a new log message local storage.setItem. It modifies the form's action attribute to record summary.html, thus redirecting the user to that page when the form is submitted. Finally, it displays an alert with the message "successfully logged in."
Good day, Sir Janus. Today I'm going to give you a short explanation for the load local storage.js and the logout.js. So let's get started. So for our first explanation, the load local storage, the load local storage function checks if the specific items exist in the local storage object. It iterates over the keys and local storage object and checks if the keys are equal to TBL official ID, TBL resident ID, or TBL blotter ID. If any of these keys exist, the not exist variable is set to false. If the local storage object is empty or if any of these keys do not exist, new items are added to local storage object with default values. So let's move on to the next JavaScript code, the logout.js. So this code snippet uses jQuery. It attaches a click event listener to the element with the ID btn logout. When the user clicks the button, it retrieves the current date and time using the new date constructor. It then retrieves the value of the log text item from local storage and appends a log message indicating that the admin successfully logged out at the current date and time. The updated log message is then stored back into the log text item in the local storage. So that is all for me. Thank you.
Greetings. Let's dive into the official component of our project encapsulated in our official.html file. At the very top, we have our top bar, which represents a user-friendly interface for displaying the page title and logout options. Next, we have a navbar. This is where users can navigate through system and includes options like record summary, officials, resident blotter, and logs. And we have the heart of this page is the official table. It neatly displays essential details about the officials such as ID, first name, last name, and gender, position, and term. We have also included the official form. This interactive feature allows users to put in details about a new official and add them to the system seamlessly. And we have also a Java integrated two JavaScript files, which is load local storage.js and script officials.js. In conclusion, this official HTML page of our project plays a crucial role in managing official data and enhancing user navigation. And that's all for the official.html. Thank you. Donald, greetings. Let's look at our official class in JavaScript. This class is our blueprint for creating official objects. It takes a parameter like ID, first name, last name, gender, position, term form, and term 2, and assigns these to the object properties. If no data is provided, it defaults to null. Moreover, we've included a handy method, getTerm. This gives us a neat string showing the term duration for any official. In short, the official class is crucial for handling and managing official data in our system. Thank you. Now, greetings. In this final leg of the officials part, we've successfully developed the logic for managing official data within our official.html. So the JavaScript code primarily revolves around creating, editing, and displaying official data with a focus on interactive tables elements. So we start by referencing all necessary DOM elements, including various text fields and buttons, and initializing the official array to hold the official object. So our add official button add official has been configured to handle both insertion and editing of official data determined by its current display text. So for the default function, it ensures that our table reflects any data stored in local storage whenever the page is refreshed, thereby maintaining data persistence. So in insert data and in edit data function are used for adding a new official and modifying existing data respectively. Both functions validate input, update local storage, record logs, refresh the table, and clear the form fields. So for our display table, function is responsible for rendering the official's data in table format, complete with edit and delete buttons for each official. And lastly, the clear fields function has been utilized to reset all input fields, prepping them for future data entry. And that's all for the script official.js. Thank you.
Dangay greetings, sir. My name is Adrian James Boncales, and I'm here to discuss the residence HTML. Inside the HTML, we can see the import of script, jQuery, the logout, and the residence is stored in the JS folder. Then we have a body element, onload attribute, which has a load storage method and load defaults. Then we have a div element content class. Then inside that, we also have a div element table container class. Then inside the div element, the table, then another div element, which is input container, and this is where the admin will encode the data of the residents. Then after that, we have a script tag of the storage, then script residence.js. In the resident class, we have a constructor method which contains the value of the residence. Then there's an if statement that if the values are undefined, we will put null in these values. Then if it's not undefined, then we will take the values and store it inside the residence class. This is the scripts residence.js, and in this part we will get the elements using the get element by IT, the instance of array, load index variable, getting the current date using the date class, button add residence, which is responsible for adding data and editing data, load defaults function, which is responsible for loading the values to the table, then getting the first array from the local storage, insert data function, which is responsible for adding the values to the local storage, then edit data, which is responsible for modifying the values. Then we have a display table function, which will display the values to the table, and we have a button edits which allow the admin to edit the data from the table, then button delete which will delete the data from the table. Then we have a clear fields function which clears all the inputs of the element.
Greetings again, sir. My name is Kerwin Caballes, and I am going to explain the create blatter HTML blatter class and the script blatter. First, the create blatter HTML is pretty much the same of the previous page with different table content and the user inputs. Here is the table container and the th or table columns. Here are the user interface elements with text field, option elements, and button elements. And the last part is the script for this page. The load local storage JS and the script blatter JS. There are also script at the above here. The query script, logout script, and blatter class. Speaking of blatter class, I am now going to explain this class. Like in our learning materials, we have a class similar. Here is the constructor and the if-else statement that check if any of the parameter is undefined. If it's true, all of the variables will set to null, but if the parameter is complete and all have a value, it will construct the blatter object. Next, I will explain the script blatter. The program first gets all the element needed to use it later in inserting data or editing the data of the table. Array blatter for the object array. Node index is the current node selected that used for editing and deleting the data on the table. Get the current date using date class. This is the button listener for inserting or editing the data on the table that call other function. Insert data for new blatter and edit data if the user wants to edit the previous data. Load default function called the display function and transfer the data in the local storage to the array blatter. In insert data arrow function, we get the current blatter ID from the local storage, then validate the user inputs. After validation, if the data is good, the program will create new blatter object and push it into the array blatter. Then convert the array blatter to serialized object to save it in the local storage. After that, the program will record the log and save it into the local storage. Then increment the blatter ID and save it to the local storage. Then display the updated table, then reset the fields. In edit data arrow function, it's pretty same as the insert data, but instead, the program will get the array node and edit its value. This is the validation, then else is the actual code for the editing the data. Replace the text of button add blatter to default. Then replace the value of selected row. In display table arrow function, first the program will clear all the elements inside of the table, then deserialize the save array on the local storage, and go for the loop to display each row. Here, the program creates an instant and copy the data so the program can get the ID value, date value, etc. In tools column, there's our button edit and button delete that has an action listener. Button edit listener get the selected row by getting the node index in a loop. Then set the value of the fields based on the selected row or index, and disable the delete button for more user-friendly. Button delete listener get the child list of the table blatter and compare it to the table row. If true, the program will ask the user if he is sure to delete that item. If response is true, it will record the log and splice the array blatter in selected index. Then save the updated array on the local storage and remove the child list on the in the table blatters. This code will append all the data on the table, and clear fields arrow function will reset the value of the fields. That's all, sir. Thank you.
This HTML syntax here provide a user-friendly interface for managing blatter records. It includes a top bar with navigation option and logout link. User can access sections like record summary, official resident blatter, and logs. The main content section allow user to view and interact with log history. For this JavaScript here, which is this JavaScript file in this project handle important functionalities like logout and log manipulation. This enable real-time update and seamless presentation of log records, enhancing the user experience and facilitates efficient log management. Overall, this web page offers a streamlined interface for easy and effective management of blatter records in Barangay Mamatid.
Good morning, Sir Janus. I am Zyrel Trinidad from 2ITB. I will discuss to you today script record summary.js. Inside the function, we retrieve the P elements using their IDs, official counts, resident counts, blatter counts, and store them in variables. The load default function is defined and take three parameters representing the jQuery objects for the P elements. Inside the function, it retrieves the serialized arrays from the local storage using local storage.getItem. That serialized arrays are then deserialized using JSON.parse. The lengths of the deserialized arrays are displayed by updating the text content of corresponding P elements using the .text method.
Dangal greetings, sir. My name is Angelo Cancisio, and I will be demonstrating the login and official page. Running our program, our landing page is where the users log in. We set the default username and password. Clicking the login button without inputting any data in the fields will show an error of fill up the fields. Inputting the wrong data in the text fields will also show an error of invalid input. The default username and password for our program is admin and admin123. This is our program's UI for the official list page. This is the table for the recorded officials, and these are the text fields if the user wants to add a new official. Clicking the Add Official button without inputting any data in the fields will show an error of please fill up all the fields. Inputting the wrong data in the text fields will also show an error saying please fill up valid inputs. After clicking the Add Official button with no errors, the program will add the new official to the list. The user can also edit and delete any official that is recorded on the list. The record summary page will update if the user has successfully added or deleted an official. Our program also has a logs page recording all the actions the user has taken.
Let's now proceed to the resident page, wherein you can add first the first name, the last name, the age, the gender. You can choose it between the male or female depending on the items, the preferred item rather, the nationality for Filipino or others preferences, and marital status, whether you are single, married, divorced, separated, or widowed, house number, and lastly is for the subdivision. Each of the fields has a validation. For instance, you add the string variable to the house number, by which we only accepts the numerical value to the container, and for the first name, the last name, which we only accepts the string data type of value to the container, which the alert message will automatically appear to your program. For the delete section, wherein you can locate if you have been added the resident, which the alert message will provide if you want to proceed for deletion of the resident. And for the edit section, wherein you are able to modify the data depending to its respective container. In the first place, you added the data for the first name, and for the record summary page, that appears all the existing number of the officials, the number of the resident, the number of blatters, and lastly is for the log page, wherein it simply display all the history of each transaction and each exact date of the transaction.
Tanghal greetings, I am Miss Malabana and I am going to show the demonstration of the plotter page and other features of the system. As we can see, we already have data here. These are the required details to add or file the plotter. Now, for instance, a resident named Kayla Aguinaldo, who resides in Phase 3, filed a complaint claiming that on May 16, 2023, a lady wearing a black shirt with long hair and tan skin barged into their home at 4 in the morning and attempted to kidnap their child. The defendant is an unknown lady as well as the location, so let's just suppose that she is not a resident there. Since we just added it, we are unable to mark it as solved or postponed issue. The status is obviously ongoing. As we do so, we can see that the record summary page updates to show that there is now one more blotter report. Let's assume that the most recent issue that Rosalinda Dean reported has been solved. In that case, we may modify its status and mark it as a solved issue. We may view the log history on the logs page. Basically, we will be able to monitor our system's activity on this page. Now that we have finished, we may now log out.